Hey family, what is going on? It is Maya here from Auntie's Library today, and today we are here with a video for our grown-up book club. Yay! I'm so excited. I'm like literally so giddy about this. So if you're new to this channel, Auntie's Library is all about literacy, but usually I do a lot of read alouds for our kiddos, for our youngins, for our children. But today we are doing our first installment of our grown-up book club, which is basically where I come on and I recommend books for the grown folk, for the adults, for the people who pay bills, you know what I'm saying? So today I'm very excited to bring you this video. As the year goes on, I'm going to be doing more of these kind of grown-up book club videos. So in between the read alouds for our young ones, be sure to check out some of these recommendations for you, the parent, the grown-up. Now, not to brag, it is only August, about to be August, but I have surpassed my reading goal for this year. Yes, honey, yes. So I made a reading goal for 30 books this year, and right now we are sitting at 35 read. Yes, I'm so proud of myself. I do this in real life, period, poo, exclamation point. So I'm very excited. I have not set like a new goal for the year, but I'm just continuing to read. And hopefully at the end of this year, I can kind of do like a year in review of all the books that I've read for 2023. But today we are going to be focusing on summer reading. Down here in the South, the kiddos are about to head back to school, which means that summer unfortunately is coming to a close. So I read 8 books this summer and I'm excited to share them with you now. So first on our list, we're starting off with something very light, very airy, very fun, and that is Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. I absolutely love Nicola Yoon's other novel, The Sun is Also a Star. Her most popular one is Everything Everything, but I actually read The Sun is Also a Star a few years ago and also watched the movie and absolutely adored both the book and movie. If you haven't checked it out, please go do it. I feel like it was overshadowed by, again, her most popular book, but The Sun is Also a Star is a great story. And if you're a grownish fan, Yara Shahidi is in it. We follow our main character in this book. Her name is Evie, and she is essentially battling and reeling from her parents' recent divorce, and the divorce was a result of her father's infidelity. And because of all of that happening in her life, she basically has kind of given up on hope for love. She doesn't believe that people can fall in love and stay in love. And as you can imagine how these stories usually go, she meets a boy. That guy's name is X, and basically we just kind of follow their journey and follow her as she's trying to figure out if being in love is worth the risk. It's a beautiful story. It has a heartbreaking ending, and Nicola Yoon is such a gorgeous writer. Just some of the lines in here just really stick with you. So this was a great first read for me this summer. So next up on the list is a poetry collection, and it is Magical Negro by Morgan Parker. I actually read Warsan Shar, 2 of Warsan Shar's poetry collections earlier in the year, and this was recommended to me after I finished those. I like some of the poems in here. As you can tell by the title, the themes of race and racial plight are central to some of the work in here. I specifically love the poem about no longer wanting to be woke. I read that poem at like a perfect point in the news cycle this summer, and it just really spoke to how I was feeling at the time. So I really did enjoy some of the poems in here. So if this sounds like something that you would enjoy, I would definitely check it out. It is a shorter poetry collection, as most poetry collections are, but it does take a while to get through because some of the themes, like I said, are tough, and you do kind of want to reflect and chew on the poems even after you read them. I don't think you should rush through poetry collections. I think you really should take your time, take a few days to really let some of the poems mull over. But if that sounds like something that you're interested in, I would definitely check it out. Okay, next up is one of my favorite books so far this year, and I'm probably gonna say that 2 more times during this video, but who gonna check me? Nobody. That's what I thought. If you loved Homegoing, you are going to love this book. This is Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. This year, I have just been obsessed with narratives surrounding families, surrounding generations, and just the complexities of family, of child rearing, of marriage. I'm just in that bag this year, and this book was right up my alley. The book surrounds the death of the matriarch of our family. Her name is Eleanor, and she has two adult children, Byron and Benny. And the mother basically leaves behind this kind of confessional to her children. And throughout the book, we kind of listen to Eleanor tell the story of her life, her trials, and all of the secrets that she has held from her children. It is suspenseful, it is heartbreaking, it's heartwarming. It's just a lovely, lovely read, and I was obsessed with this book. I recommend it to anybody that I can. I recommended it to my mother, and she absolutely loved it. And oh my gosh, I can't say enough good things. Also, just throughout the book, we follow the origin and ties to the black cake recipe that Eleanor passes on to her children. And we kind of see the significance of that specific cake at different points in her life. And I really connected to that part of the story because I myself am still baking and cooking dishes that have been passed down from my ancestors, from my grandmother and great grandmother. And specifically, the black cake that is discussed in the book reminds me of the rum cake recipe that my mother-in-law makes quite often. So it just checked all my boxes. I connected to this story, and if you are a baker, if you have a lot of ties to the mothers in your life, even if you're dealing with grief, I think this is such a great read, and I absolutely loved it. I cannot say enough good things about this. Read this book. Read it. Switching gears for number 4 is a very strange book, and that book is called Several People Are Typing. So I work remotely, and our little book chat recommended this book. Essentially, this book is about a character who is trapped in Slack. Yes, you heard me correctly. Very, very weird concept. So essentially, we kind of follow that character's descent into a bit of madness. Obviously, we see Slackbot emerge as a true villain throughout this story, exactly as we know them to be, right? And I also think that there is a bit of commentary in this book on productivity versus purpose, and I kind of feel like that might have been a minor theme throughout the book. I could be totally reaching there, but I thought that that was something that the author was trying to address. Also, just want to let you know that this book is completely written in chat room style. I think that's what kind of let it kind of read faster because it's written in that style, but I know that that's not for everyone. So if you decide to pick this up, just know that it is written completely in kind of chat form style, and if that's not your cup of tea, maybe this is not the book for you. Very weird book, strange ending, but I thought it was worth the read. So next up, we have another favorite book from this year, and that is People Person by Candace Carty Williams. Like many of you have, I read her other novel, Queenie, a few years back. Absolutely loved it then. I didn't have any kids at the time that I read Queenie, and now it's interesting how Williams has written a story surrounding family, and I read it now, and I'm a mother as well. So I obviously know that she didn't do that for me, but I like to think that way. People Person follows a group of 5 half siblings who share a deadbeat father. They've all had kind of like these completely separate childhoods because of the contempt that their father has created between their mothers. But in adulthood, an emergency happens with one of the siblings, and they are kind of forced to rally together to protect each other. The characters were complex and wonderful, and I just love how Williams explores how the abandonment of the father impacted each sibling individually, and kind of how we get to see the siblings confront that trauma and kind of overcome it. Also, the ending of this book, so satisfying. Just a joy to read. I much prefer this cover. This is the cover that the library gave me. I know that authors don't have much say all the time in their cover art, but this cover is superior. When I do my little book haul at the end of the year of all my faves, I will be looking for this specific edition because look at how gorgeous this is. Don't you want to have this on your shelf? Next up is another romance novel, The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. If you're going on your last summer vacation, your last trip to the beach, this is a perfect book. It is longer. I believe it's a little bit over 300 pages, but listen to me, it reads so easy. You are gonna fly through this book. It is going to be so easy because it's literally just such a readable story. The story surrounds this girl named Olive who basically has told herself that she has the worst luck. She always gets the short end of the stick. And her twin sister is like the opposite of her. She is just like the golden child. She always gets what she wants. We join the story when her twin sister is getting married, but something awful happens on the day of the wedding, and her sister Amy is unable to go on her honeymoon. So she asks her sister Olive to go, but the one catch is that she has to go with this guy named Ethan, who is like her sworn enemy. It's rompy, it's cute, it's a bit cringy at times, it's classic enemies to lovers, but I mean, it's like reading a reality show. It's so quick. There's some drama moments, some tea spilled, some sweet moments, some spicy moments. It's all you want in a vacation book. So if you're looking for something like that for your last holiday of the season, I would recommend The Honeymooners. So next up, we have my third book that was like also one of my favorite books. I'm serious. I read so many of my favorite books this season. Like, I'm so grateful. Like, I hope there's not a slump coming ahead, but this was also one of my favorites. This is Mame by Jessica George. Where do I begin with this book? This book made me feel so seen, so validated. Like, throughout the whole book, I was like, yes, absolutely, totally agree. 100%, because this is a book for girlies who have been told all their life, oh my gosh, you're so mature for your age. Oh my gosh, I thought you were older. Like, if you have ever heard that growing up, like, this is the book for you. Like, this is for you, honey. This is for you, sis. I'm trying to tell you. This book centers around our character, whose name is Maddie, who is caring for her elderly father who has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Her mother and brother have basically like abandoned them, and Maddie has taken all of the responsibilities of caretaking while also working a job and dreaming of a social life. She gets the chance to kind of explore adult life when her mom returns back home, and we kind of get to watch Maddie fumble through social interactions, her work climate, and just all of the adult things. And honestly, like, we're just rooting for her. We're rooting for her the whole time. It just is such a great book on the idea of like, what does it mean to be an adult? Like, is being an adult based on the experiences that you have or the responsibilities that you take on? It's just such a great commentary also on the adultification of young girls, specifically girls of color. And I know I said that People Person has a satisfying ending, but when I tell you, I was listening to this book on Libby and I was just like, yes, 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 yes. I was so amped for her because this is a book where it ends right and you're just so satisfied with the ending, and you just connect to the character so well, and I absolutely loved it. This is like probably top 5 for me so far this year. Again, we gotta get to the end of the year review, but so far this is like top 5, maybe top 3 for me. So definitely check this out. Last but certainly not least is this horror novel, Mother Thing. What can I say about this absolutely grotesque body of work? Let's just say when I finished this book, my stomach was turning a little bit. I didn't want to eat. Yeah. This book centers around a married couple whose names are Ralph and Abby, and Abby's mother-in-law, Laura, dies. Well, let's just say that Abby does something real shady, and her mother-in-law essentially begins to haunt her from the grave. We see Abby and Ralph both kind of slowly descend into oblivion, and as the book goes on, you know, you just know it's not going to end well. Like, you know that it's not going to end well. There's a couple times where you think maybe it could. No, it doesn't. It does not end well. It has a crazy ending that you're just gonna sit there and just kind of have mouth open, jaw to the floor. So yeah, no happy endings here. I also believe that this could have maybe even sparked discussion around the difference between grief and guilt, because I think both characters are grappling with that, and because they don't really address it, it's kind of what sends them into a state of insanity. It's a very dark book. There were some funny moments, like I do believe the author is funny at times, but it is dark humor because we are dealing with haunting, we are dealing with death. If you are into that, I feel like if you're a Criminal Minds girly, you will like this book, but you have been warned, the ending is disgusting. Well, family, those were my reads for this summer of 2023. I cannot believe that we are headed into fall. Like, this year is just flying by so quickly. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you read one of the books that I recommended. And if you do, please share that with me over on Instagram. I would love to hear what you think about these books. Have you read any of them? Are you planning on reading them? Did you add any to your TBR? Please let me know. Like I said, I plan on doing an end of the year 2023 wrap up, and in between them, be sure to go on IG for any other recommendation. And if you have any book recommendations for me, you see I'm kind of all over the place with my recommendations and reading genres. So I'm interested if you think that I would like any of the books that you read this summer. Until next time, family, see y'all later. Bye.